Attorney Quander, would you mind, before that presentation, giving us a little bit of an update, refreshing our memory about where we are?
Sure. So Caitlin Quander, legal counsel. As you will recall, you have seen, I think, 2, maybe 3 at this point, presentations from Moss Rock, who is looking to develop a hotel within the town of Lyons. And as part of that has requested a portion of tax increment. It is located within the existing town of Lyons urban renewal area, and is asking for some increment to help with some of the various expenses to prepare the sites, public improvements, some cleanup, some demo, some additional environmental and electrical. And I'm sure that they'll cover those in their presentation. You've seen a couple of different iterations, and I know we have both in public session and executive session talked about kind of where the authority would like to go with those negotiations. We have at this point I have drafted a redevelopment agreement. We've exchanged it a bit with their legal counsel. And I think the goal of this evening, we're pretty close on the draft. It's really, what is the exhibit we're attaching to talk about the share of increment that gets shared, which is really, in the end, a business call and decision for you all. And I know Cassie Eyestone, who is the Town of Lyons Finance Director and also serves as the Finance Director for the authority, is here to kind of talk through that after their presentation, so you can understand the decision before you, with the goal to either in public session, or if we need to talk about our negotiation strategy, go into an executive session to give myself, Victoria, and Cassie guidance so that we can finalize this redevelopment agreement and hopefully bring it back to you at the February meeting.
Thank you very much. Mosrock, would you care to present?
Yes, of course. Presentation is a big word. After talking with Victoria, we decided to write a memo to make it simpler. We're coming. Last time we came to you was to discuss the formula on the way to share. And you came back to us with 2 options. So the first thing we wanted to confirm is we picked the second method you proposed. So that's what I would say is an easy one. The second thing, we thought it would be useful to give you an update on where we are. Hopefully you read the memo, I can give it to you live. We faced way more difficulty in the last 6 months to get funding, and we figured out where it's coming from. And so we've been working to make the business case more appealing for investors and bankers. Some of it we've already put behind us. We got a PACE funding a proposal from a lead PACE banker. We decided to work with Marriott for what is called a soft brand, which means we brand it the way we want. We keep the boutique feel, but we can be listed and benefit from their loyalty program, which was very important. We heard it from investors and bankers in mitigating the low season. The biggest risk that people see is the low season, and by having a top brand as loyalty program, we eliminate risk. So the key things we've been working on are the value engineering for the building. The latest cost was even higher. So we're working on how to redesign certain elements to optimize the cost. We're working on the funding. We've been working on PACE, on brand, and we would like to finalize the TIF program with you. So then we've got all the elements of reducing the capital needs, and hopefully in the next 6 months, finalizing the funding and the design. So today, the reason I'm here is, first was the method for calculation. Second one, I've already covered it. Second, when we did the presentation last time with a list of all the different costs, we had included the utility work, if you remember, and it was linked to the Broadway project. Working with Aaron and Victoria, we learned that the part of the utility work that is linked to the hotel site is several feet, not to say yards, north of the Broadway curve, and therefore could be done separately, which is what we would like to do. So we would do all the work at once with all the funding at once, which is the one thing that is different from what we discussed before. So originally, we thought we would do the work in the next 6 months. As we are postponing, and we can, I remember having a discussion with Victoria and with you, by the way, Mayor, which was, we don't want to do the work twice. And I fully agree with this. In this case, we would not destroy the curb and the work that will be done on Broadway. Therefore, we would like to separate the two and keep the utility covered by TIF.
And Agnes, do you mind if I just chime in on that point? So just for clarity for the board, the direction that we received at the last meeting and was what was in the draft delivered to Agnes and team was that the ability to qualify the expenses around utility work of 380,000 was contingent upon them being part of the broader town project. And Victoria can certainly chime in, but the proposal from Mossrock is now to essentially disconnect that, right? Not make it have to be part of the larger town project, but to still allow the cost of that utility work to be a recoverable expense under increment.
Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any question about the project if you're interested.
Commissioner Dati.
Hi, thank you for that update. I'm curious as to what soft brand means.
Let me try to explain my poor English. This means you pick the name you want. You have to go through their review process. So, for example, we just went through their review process for the design of a hotel and the services. And it was honestly, it gave me some good feelings at the end, because the only two comments we had from them was we had to get the fitness room larger, which we can, and we had to get the second elevator to go to the third floor too. But we didn't have any other feedback. So what you do is you sign a contract. I just did, and I just sent the money to secure them. You sign a contract with Marriott. They provide you with support on design, on processes, on training, and then they you are part of their loyalty program. So people who have a Marriott card, if they want to use their points to cover the cost of a room, they can. And when customers come to the hotel, they accumulate points with the Marriott program. What it also means is, but the reason it's important, it's soft, it's that you run the show the way you want. So it's not managed by Marriott, and it's not branded by Marriott. So we'll have to pick the name, by the way. We still don't have a name, but we'll have to pick the name. We'll do the marketing. It's run as an independent brand, but you benefit from their program and from some of their reviews. So, for example, they just put us in contact with, they're putting us in contact with potential other investors. We've got good contacts, and we're advanced with a specific group, but they bring you support during all the development before you open.
Okay, so that's good to know that you have that support. I think you've been in Lyons long enough to know how adverse the community might be towards franchises, and I just wanted to know, does this mean that there would be no sign that says Marriott on it? It would just be your.
If I can speak to this, Commissioner Dati, I'm at the ambassador elite level with Marriott, which means 100 nights a year. They have about 20 different brands. One of those brands is Autograph Collection. I'm assuming this is an autograph collection. Agnes, is that correct?
No, it's not Autograph. It's the other boutique brand. Autograph is the high end. It's the other boutique brand, but it's the same. It's the Tribute brand.
That's Tribute brand. There are actually 3 different brands they have that it does not show anywhere in the system that it's a Marriott property. It is operated completely independently. But if you are in the Marriott program, which is by far the largest in the world, far larger than Hilton and 100 times larger than Hyatt. You're very aware that these properties exist and you tend to use them. And so they keep their local flavor. If you've ever been in Celebration, Florida, that planned community, a Celebration Hotel is one of their autograph boutique properties. It's pretty much what I choose to stay in, are their boutique properties really all over the world. So to me, this is huge that you are having that connection with them in terms of what it does for the property, what it does for the number of nights booked, and what it does in terms of support for you. This is quite an exciting development for me.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dati, did you
um,
have other questions?
No, so it sounds to me like there wouldn't be a big Marriott sign out front. That's all I was trying to clarify. Okay.
No,
Thank you, Commissioner Williams.
zero.
And thank
And
Right,
as
and-
just as a comment for you, as we are doing the value engineering, we are also looking at taking into account all the comments we had about look and feel to fit better. So we're working on this right now. So the concern that were expressed during the approval process were heard. We do not intend to have a brand and a franchise. We want to be a boutique, but having a program really reduces the risk.
Sure. And I have seen some Marriott hotels in St. Augustine, which were very discreet and you couldn't even tell it was a Marriott. So I'm hoping that's what I'm envisioning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions for Inez? Okay. So I have a question. When you talk about reducing risk, can you say a little more about what you're reducing the risk of?
I'm thinking about from an investor perspective and a banker perspective. We got a market survey done by a top firm, and they've got an office in Loveland to justify their revenue model. Which we worked with Cassie. We gave Cassie some of the numbers, which is used for the TIF calculation, but it's also the cash flow. And so the biggest risk is the winter occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
So by having a program with a loyalty program, you know that people who come around here, it's people who belong to these programs usually select their hotels based on it, not only when they can redeem points, but when they book it. And so all the investor groups and the bankers considers that once you've got a brand like Marriott, when you're part of their program, you've got 2 or 3 points secured during your low season. So it's really the financial model perception of risk.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Director Eystone, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think nothing major, but I think I just wanted to let you all know that the request before you really doesn't impact any of the front end of the TIF reimbursement model. What it means is we either choose to reimburse the $380,000 as normally planned, and then the model would stay the same. And then if the board chose not to include it because it's not going along with the town project, then really what it means is that $380,000 that we were going to reimburse just kind of falls off the back end of the reimbursement. So that's really all it does to the model in respect to the timing, and nothing will change with the front end of it. It's really the back end.
Okay, thank you. So I know that the development agreement has been going back and forth and it's being redlined, and so we do not have that to review. I'll pause and see if Administrator Simonson would like to add something.
Hi, thank you. I just got a message from Aaron Kaplan, and the issue with the power outage today actually had to do with the section of line that we are planning to underground. So he wanted me to mention if it was appropriate that, that we should take care of that correctly sooner than later versus repair it and then come back and do it again in a few months undergrounding. So that is something we might want to keep in mind. And Anya, you may not know this, but we had a power outage on the whole block where the hotel will be, and it included Oscar, Blues, and Moxie. And they found the problem to be where we're planning to do the undergrounding. So he just asked me to interject that it's probably going to take $10,000 to $20,000 to do this repair, or we could put that toward undergrounding. That's all I want to mention, just so it's on your radar, that we do need to, and that this does need to be addressed in some manner, either now or in the very near future.
Okay, so the section that's problematic right now, is that the section that the town would be undergrounding or that Moss Rock would be undergrounding?
It is on, it is the pole that runs between the Moss Rock property and Oscar Blues. So it probably would be, he said it would be involved with the undergrounding on that block. So I don't know for sure at this point if he means, let's see, he said, let me read it to him, or to you. He said, you might mention that the town will need to put in 10 to 20,000 in work at Winter Plaza. So if Moss Rock could underground sooner than later, the town could put $20,000 to help underground instead of more overhead repairs. Sounds like it is.
But for now, the power's on.
The power is on for now.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So the development agreement, the red line development agreement, this authority hasn't had a chance to review it. And so I just want to say that we appreciate all of the work that's going into it. And if it takes a little bit longer to get to an agreement that's acceptable both to Moss Rock and to the attorney and Administrator Simonson, that's totally fine. You know, we're not on a rush from our end. And so we'd rather take the time and get it right and have something very solid to review. So
yeah, Madam Chair, I think I appreciate that. I do think we are quite close, but wanted to kind of finalize these final business terms. And you're exactly right. You would have a full agreement that would come before you with a resolution. And certainly if this board, you know, wanted to take another month to review it, we can do that too. So that would be at a future meeting.
Okay.
But I think if we're able to get the guidance from the board tonight on this question on the utilities, I think we'll be ready by February.
Oh, wonderful. That's great news. Okay. Commissioner Dottie?
First, I am all for the undergrounding. Second, there was a question I wanted to ask earlier that I didn't think of, and it had to do with construction. So does anybody have any idea of how soon construction could begin?
The question is for me, I presume.
You probably have the best knowledge.
So it depends. We are still on track to with the architects and the engineers for late summer, early fall. So the question is how fast. So we continue to do the work with engineers and architects. It depends on how fast we close the funding. So there's two tracks. There's the technical track and the funding track, and everything froze in September. I don't want to spare you. I don't want to give you the feedback. It's amazing how much it has frozen. It's not only the interest rate going up, it's really people stopping to write anything because they're scared. So that's why we're working in parallel these elements. So PACE, Marriott, and TIF. So we can get a case that as soon as there's a little move in the market, and it seems interest rate moved last week, it seems that there could be some move, we can secure the funding. So technical track gets us to I would say, groundbreaking in September. Financial path, I will not give you a date because I would have been wrong 6 months ago.
Mhm. So you're not just dependent on the TIF funding, then you're also waiting for the interest rate to drop. Is that right?
Yes and no. Part of what we did with TIF was we counted for the interest rate, and as long as they don't go up, we're okay. It's better if it goes down.
Sure.
The risk is not the interest rate only. It's the banks have put a hold on construction loans.
Okay, got it.
So the first hit was the interest rate. We explained it to you last time. The second one is they blocked. So we are waiting for them to breathe a little. And from all the discussions we've had, we are being told that once we've got, because we didn't have PACE before, PACE, Marriott, TIF, and the value engineering, we second quarter should be okay. But I'm being cautiously optimistic. Okay, I don't want to.
Thank you for that response.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Attorney Quander?
Thank you. I would also highlight for the board that in the current draft agreement, the developer is obligated to commence construction, which basically means out there moving some dirt and beginning the project no later than December 15th of this year in order for the increment to be available. And if they do not, the agreement automatically terminates. Now, it doesn't mean that they couldn't come back to this board and say, can we amend it and extend out that term if something were to happen? But that would be a future conversation. As drafted, they have to commence by December 15th, 2023, or the agreement terminates.
Okay. Right. I think at some point, Agnes, if you feel comfortable, it'd be great to get a public update to the residents of the town, because people ask all the time, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? So it'd be great to just sort of have a factual talk track so that we can inform people.
We'd be happy to. I'll follow your guidance on which medium and how you think we should do it. Happy to.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Any other comments, questions? Attorney Quander.
So certainly if there are other questions of the board, let's have those. But as far as direction, we noticed this for a potential executive session. I think that this question is pretty specific. And so unless there is a true need for the board to, receive some legal advice or talk strategy on it, I think I could take this direction in an open meeting and we wouldn't need to convene the executive session unless there is a desire, and please let me know if there is, to have a deeper discussion as a board, which we can certainly do in executive session.
Okay, I'll ask, does anybody have a desire to have a deeper discussion in executive session? Commissioner Farrell.
Hi, sorry, I didn't ask my questions earlier to the applicant, but I do have one. And then maybe based on that answer, it is appropriate for executive session or not. I don't know. I'm kind of curious about the Marriott portion. Echoing Trustee Datti's concerns. Does this also, I'm not familiar with the program either. So my question though is there a chance that Marriott is going to have more ownership of this than you originally?
No, so sorry to be so direct. I could have given a more poetic answer. No, the Marriott doesn't invest in these properties. We pay them a fee in order to ensure they receive a fee in order to ensure we've got the loyalty program and the services and the help during all the construction and the early years, but they are not investors in the project.
So I just want to, I guess, I don't know, word of advice or something. My concern is that I had so many people say to me that they were, not for the hotel, but at the very least it was locally owned. Therefore, they supported it. So boy, the minute I think somebody hears Marriott, you're going to have some real big questions and concerns. So maybe I just want to give you the heads up on that one. So that was mostly that was my concern too. So I think I'm okay. Thank you.
So if fair
Marriott,
question. The way I would answer,
Let's one at a time, please. Agnes, would you like to respond to that?
yes, we gave you full visibility as a board that it's the Marriott program. It's not a brand. So yes, we need to explain that it doesn't change the ownership structure. It doesn't change the leadership. What is changes is you're part of a loyalty program.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. That's a big deal.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams, please.
Yes, Marriott actually owns very, very few of the properties that carry the Marriott name. Tribute portfolio do not carry it at all. The Magnolia in Denver is a Tribute portfolio property. It's the only one in the Front Range. And if you go into the Magnolia in Denver, the only way you'll know it's a Marriott property is you will see the Marriott Envoy card that is behind the front desk. So there's really no, and again, in none of their boutique properties do they have any ownership stake, nor will they ever have any ownership stake. That's a part of their system. So you're not talking about even things that are branded Marriott very rarely are actually owned by Marriott.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I know so much about that. It's just
I was going to say
I have been lifetime ambassador. I mean, I have several thousand nights in Marriott properties, so I know their system left and right. And a Tribute portfolio hotel, that is there is no other in their system that you can tell any less that it's a Marriott. Same thing with the Autograph collection, which is the other boutique collection of theirs.
Well, thank you for the education, Commissioner Williams, and thank you for taking one for the team and traveling so much. Commissioner Dati.
Yes, I just want to reiterate the communication piece is key, transparency and communication. I think putting out some kind of press release, putting something out to the community somehow, but and I don't know if we need to, if it needs to be put, I mean, again, talking about transparency, I don't know how you would package the Marriott piece. You would have to tread very, very, very carefully and be very, I don't know. Commissioner Williams is nodding her head like, no, don't go there. But I do agree that communication would be very important here.
Okay, and we'll work on that, Commissioner Dati. Commissioner Drystad.
Yes, actually, my question is not related to the immediately preceding discussion, but I wanted to suggest that that we add an agenda item for the next meeting related to the URA's role in the undergrounding of the electric. I don't think we can go any further into that since it's not on the agenda tonight, but just a suggestion for the next meeting.
Do you mean, if I can ask, the URA's role in undergrounding electric in general?
Yes.
Okay. Attorney Quander, do you have an opinion about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's really up to the board on how you want to tie or not tie that together. And if you'd like to include that in the agreement, I think that's kind of the key question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm just suggesting we have discussion at another meeting.
Okay, so are you suggesting that we don't take the matter up pertaining to this agreement at this meeting?
Well, we're not voting on anything tonight. We're not making any final decisions tonight, right?
That's correct, but I do, I think giving us guidance as to how you want to see the draft come forward So ideally in February, it would be, ready for approval and review, would be helpful. And so, and like I said, if we need to go to an executive session, but I think that's the big question is, are you as a board okay with not tying the utility improvements to the town's utility improvements and still allowing those to be increment, the up to $380,000 to be increment they could get back?
Well, I have a specific suggestion and I don't know about bringing it up in open meeting tonight. So I don't know.
I can
Perhaps we
drop-
could go into executive session for just 5 or 10 minutes to talk about it.
Okay. Let me hold that thought. And then I'll ask Administrator Simonson to weigh in, and then we'll talk about going into executive session. Administrator Simonson?
Yes, thank you. Aaron Kaplan will be joining us any minute and can answer some of our questions about electric, if that would be helpful to me.
Okay.
He should be here just anytime he is walking home from the other situation.
Okay. Well, and Aaron could join us in executive session now, if we have one. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's worth a deeper discussion if we're going to be giving direction and if we want to get this wrapped up in February. Commissioner Drysdale, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I move to go into executive session. You want me to read the whole section?
I have you on the hook. Yes, I'm sure you remember how.
Oh, yeah. I move to go into executive session pursuant to CRS sections 24.6.4024E and 24.6.4024B for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, and for legal advice from attorneys representing the authority regarding a TIF redevelopment and reimbursement agreement with Moss Rock Development, LLC.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Dati seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll vote on going into executive session. All in favor?
And that motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you so much, Inez.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
I'm sure we'll talk soon. Enjoy the
I'll
new
send the
baby.
link to you now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you in a moment, everyone.